Okay, before we start talking about Katie and her camera, I wanted to go over what's in my gear bag. So I shoot with a Canon 5D Mark III. I also have a Canon 5D Mark II as a backup. And I have, on this camera, I have a 24-70. That's the focal length 2.8. And we're gonna go over these numbers and what they mean in our next video. I have a 100mm macro 2.8. A 70 to 200 2.8, a 35 1.4, and I also have a 50mm 1.2, but it's in the shop right now. Also in my gear bag, I have about 4 of these 580 EX2 flashes, which I would recommend if you're shooting weddings. Now, if you're not shooting weddings, I like to not use flash. I love natural light, so anytime that I can not use flash, that's awesome. So if you're just a portrait photographer and you're not doing any indoor things, I don't really see the need to get a flash unless you're gonna start doing studio type things and stuff like that. I also have 2 gear bags. Kelly Moore, I use the small one. Whenever I'm at a shoot or a wedding, I put all my gear in this large Kelly Moore bag. I'll put everything in there, batteries, my backup body, all the, like this 35mm lens I only use really for portraits. So if I'm at the ceremony or something like that, I might have that in there. I have my assistant carry that around, and then I put all my necessities for that shoot in this bag because it's much easier to carry. Now these bags are kind of higher end price point, but they do last a long time. I've done hundreds of shoots with these, and I think they're about 5 or 6 years old. So they've lasted me so long. Something when you're looking at a camera bag. Now, like I said, I prefer Kelly Moore. I'm just gonna kind of open it. It's kind of messy, so sorry. But you'll see that they have these individual dividers, and that's really cool because you want your camera bag to fit your equipment really snugly so that if you were, jarring it around or something, the equipment's not going to get damaged. You'll notice I do not actually have, I only have it on one, the lens cap and the lens filter. I would highly recommend you always have that on there so that dust and other things don't get in there. I need to be better at doing that. So, like I said, when you're looking for a camera bag, make sure it has a divider and some cushions. And some of the newer camera bags I've seen, they even have like a pocket in the front, and you once you push it down or unbutton it, has places for your memory cards. So I really like that. So my next camera bag will probably have that. Another thing, if you're going to travel with your equipment, make sure to bubble wrap everything, and also make sure to see what the airplane guidelines are, because a lot of times I was doing destination weddings and they wanted me to check my bag with my equipment, and there was no way I was going to do that. So you always want to make sure that you have a bag that can fit under your seat or something that you can carry so that your equipment does not get damaged, because we've heard horror stories about people's equipment getting damaged in flight, and you definitely don't want that. Okay, so you're probably wondering, well, what kind of lens do I need for my specific niche of photography? Okay, so if you are just starting out, the 2 lenses that I recommend the most are a 24-70 2.8, which is what I have on my camera now, and the 50mm 1.2. Now, the 50mm 1.2, if you do not have it already and you look it up, it's fairly expensive. So when I was starting out, I actually started off with a 50mm 1.8, and I'll explain the difference later in this series. But if you're going to progress, I would progress that way. I really love the lenses that let you get really, the apertures like 1.2, 1.8, 2.8. So I really think that makes the difference in your images. Something else I wanted to talk to you about is on my backup camera, I have, it says the Mark III, but this is actually the Mark II because this is my strap for this camera. But this is the strap that your camera comes with. Nothing is wrong with this strap. It works for its purpose, but it really doesn't have any give. And as you start shooting more and more, especially for me, I was having issues with like my neck hurting a lot. So I actually got this camera strap, and it's called ProMaster. And it's not the prettiest strap, I understand, but it really serves a really good purpose. Okay, so one, you'll notice it has a lot of give. So if you're shooting, maybe you have like 7 mini sessions a day, this is really going to help your neck, your shoulders, keeping the weight off. Okay, so because when I'm walking around, I use it as a crossbody like this. I'm a plus size girl, so I can't really go crossbody with this strap, so that's why I really like this one. You can adjust the length, and I think it works really well. Something to keep in mind when you're looking for camera straps, I've bought a few over the years that were like pretty, but they were like hand sewed and they were pretty, but it just made me really nervous to have thousands of dollars of equipment on that type of strap. You want to make sure the strap is almost the most important thing, because this is what's carrying your camera body. So really take note of that. This one is fine if that's what you have, but if not, I would look into these because they really help with shooting. This is my backup camera, and you know, I already talked about how I'm not the best at keeping my lens cap, my lens back cover, and my lens filter and the protective lens thing on my lens. So I did want to show you that the sensor of your camera, mine's dirty right now, but the sensor of your camera is like the most important thing. And if you start to notice that you are taking pictures and there's a spot in the same spot, either that means you have some sort of dust on your lens, or you actually have a dust on your camera. Now, I never touch the inside of my camera. I'm like a freak. Some people will use like one of those cloth things. I don't touch it. It just freaks me out too bad. You know what I mean? I'm just afraid I'll get a fingerprint on there and it'll turn into a worse problem. So local camera shops do offer sensor cleaning, and I would recommend that, especially if you're shooting outdoors a lot and, you know, like country. I don't know, any dust can get in there. But something you keep in mind is I never leave my camera exposed like this, because I don't want to take the chances of just like dust and particles getting in there. I never want to put it in my bag like this. Something could go in there. That you just don't want to do that. You do want to keep a camera cover on this. It's going to protect it. So that's super important. And like I said, it's really important to have the lens covers on to protect the lenses as well. You're spending a lot of money and you don't want to get them dirty and everything like that. I do recommend a sensor cleaning at least once a year on your camera. And if you notice that spot and there's something on your camera, you always go into your local camera shop and they can help you and they can clean it for you, and that way you don't create a bigger problem by getting a fingerprint or something on there.